Hello, my name is Martin from Revelation Software in the UK, and I'd like to welcome you to this second introduction to WebOI video. During the first video we looked at some of the web enabling technologies that are available in OpenInsight, but more importantly what is WebOI and some of the information behind it, architecture and like. In this video we're actually going to look at configuring iOS 7 for WebOI, and then we're actually going to convert fairly standard OpenInsight form. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to make sure that we've got iOS 7 configured correctly. So if we go to the control panel and programs, there's an option here to turn Windows features on or off. If we click that, then we get the turn Windows features on or off dialog box in which we can make our selections. Now we need to go to Internet Information Services, World Wide Web Services, Application Development Features, and make sure that CGI is turned on. On my particular machine I've got a few more settings that I've configured, probably more than I actually need. I would suggest that you strongly take advice from an iOS professional with regards to which options you should turn on, especially if this is on a commercial machine. And all of the things that I'm going through here fairly quickly are detailed in the quick start guide that I've written, so don't worry about that too much. You can follow them more slowly at your leisure with those guides. We now need to make sure that our web server is running. So if we go to WebOI Web Services, we can now start the web server. And during the demonstration, I'll turn this on now, I'm going to be using OECGI 2, and that requires the Owing server to be running. So I'm just going to start that here while I'm in the services. We can now go to our browser and we can navigate to localhost. And we should see the iOS 7 logo. If you're running on iOS 6, obviously it will look slightly different. But once we get this window, then we know that we're good to go with our web server. Okay, so next we need to create a virtual drive for our WebOI application, and we also need to run through a number of settings to set up iOS 7 to work with WebOI. The virtual drive is set up by clicking on Computer, or right mouse clicking, and Manage. And we need to go to Services and Applications, Internet Information Services, and we've got our domain, and under Sites our default website. Now in here we need to right mouse click, add a virtual directory, and then just configure this. As I said, this is all defined in the quick start guide. Mine is already set up, so I'm not going to make any changes here. And you can see that I've got my WebOI virtual directory set here. Okay, next we need to set up some security permissions. So right mouse click, edit permissions, go to the security tag and configure those accordingly. Again, take advice on this from your iOS expert. We also need to set up ISAPI and CGI restrictions, which we can find in here. I just scroll down, ISAPI and CGI restrictions, and in here we need to set up OECGI, make sure that's allowed, and OECGI 2, and make sure that that is allowed. I'll just make this window just a little bit wider, we'll be able to see a bit more. And lastly, we need to set up the handler mappings, which is shown here, to make sure that CGI.exe is set up in here. Okay, so we're done in the computer management, so we can close that down. And the next thing that we need to go to is the registry, and we need to navigate HKey local machine, software, and then come down to our RevSoft entry. We need to create either OECGI or OECGI 2. Now I've got both configured here because I use OECGI for my examples application, and I use OECGI 2 for the WebOI demo application. It's the WebOI demo application that we're going to be using during this video. Again, these settings are all defined in the quick start guides, so don't worry about them too much at this point. I also suggest that you set up a shortcut. My particular shortcut is starting in RevSoft, which is where my oinsight.exe file is located. I have an application called WebOI demo with a username which is the same, WebOI demo, and no password. SN defines as WebOI, which is our engine, I believe, that we're going to be running up. And also I've set up dv equals 1 so that it will go into the development environment, and IDE1 will launch the new IDE in version 9, which has got a nice shortcut to WebOI, so it makes life nice and easy for us. Okay, before we go any further, I would recommend that you can now see the database, and OpenInsight provides a couple of methods to do this. iNet Test Connect. This is a stored procedure that is defined at the back of my Quick Start Guide, the Vista one. All the code is there, and it simply gives you a congratulations message. More traditionally, iNet Trace is part of OpenInsight, and that will give you a lot more information about your particular installation of OpenInsight. If you see the success and the information here, then you know that everything is working okay and you can see your OpenInsight database. So the next thing we'll do is we will go and just make sure that we can connect to WebOI. Now we do this by HTTP localhost, so I'm obviously running this locally, /WebOI, and we go to the start form, start.htm. And so long as we see this form, then everything is good. We're good to go. Okay, so let's just close down the browser and we'll go to OpenInsight's. Now if I just run up the forms designer for the moment, we'll have a quick look at the form that we're going to convert. This is a fairly simple form. We've got some edit lines, we've got a tab control, some edit tables, and a few buttons. If we look at the buttons, you'll see that I've used a script event. There we go. And this is simply going to call the pop-up. Pop-up was created using the user interface workspace, and no code for any of this. Calls the pop-up, returns the ID to the form, and it also fires the lost focus so that it will read the record that's returned. So fairly straightforward. That's the same code that's in the examples application. I've also got code to drive the tab control, and on the save button I'm using a quick event, which is simply the write event for that particular button. So if we were to test run that, move this out of the way, you'll see that it's a very simple form, just returning some data. The pop-up returns the data back to the form, etc. Now one of the things that I'm going to do here is I'm just going to change the text on this label to WebOI 8, because that's the form that we're going to be using. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to save as mp_WebOI 8. And this basically just means that I'm going to keep my default form for another day, and we're going to use the WebOI 8 form to convert over. Okay, so let's shut down the form designer, and we'll go into the new IDE. And on the new IDE we have a shortcut for WebOI, so we'll just double click to run up the WebOI tools. First thing we need to do, this obviously gives us a tab control. Now I'm not going to be looking at all of the items here. We're going to be working with forms. We're not going to be worrying about pop-ups. We're not going to be worrying about reports. They're covered in more detail in the US Quick Start Guide. But the first one that we want to go to is the Tools tab. And the first thing we need to do is to build our commuter module. And in here we select our form, so WebOI 8, the one that we've just saved. We'll compile it now, and we'll update the form scripts and events. Double click on the edit table here to bring up a list of the events on the form, and we want to choose existing. Now I want to change the events on the form to use a computer module for the search, the save, the cancel, and also the tab control. So we'll select all of those and OK. And once we're done and we're happy, we can go ahead and create the commuter module. We'll save the current version, and our commuter module is complete.